TCP viewers. Okay, excellent. Looks like we got quite a number of people already. Docs are already on or in the room, ready to go. And so docs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my guest today, and that's Dr. Jason Deitch of AmpLIFEied, like the profession's #1 free resource in terms of marketing your practice through social media. And he's a social media guru. He's been a huge supporter of TCP and the Chiropractic Philanthropist. He's seen the big vision from the very beginning, and he continues to support the philanthropic theme that we have here, and that's why I brought him onto the podcast today, or I should say the webinar today, to actually share with you, because I think that social media is so incredibly powerful when it comes to growing our practice, and it's somewhere we need to be looking at in 2016, and that's what Jason's going to share with us today. But before I begin, I want to make sure that everyone can actually hear me okay. So if you can hear me, could you go ahead and actually type in the chat bar over on the right-hand side? Go ahead and just type I can hear you, or say hello. Dr. Ed, good to hear you. I'm going to do a really quick introduction of myself. So I'm actually Dr. Ed Osborne. I have a podcast called The Chiropractic Philanthropist. We're coming up on 250,000 downloads for the profession. So it's a huge resource. And again, most people have heard, or they're following TCP. Awesome. Hi, Matt. Hi, Kevin, Brennan, Sharon. I'm going to actually just throw it right over to Dr. Deitch here in 1 second, because I think that what he is doing is so incredibly important, but I think it's also important that we hear a little bit about his why and his backstory. So Jason, Dr. Jason, go ahead and take it away. Yeah. Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Thank you. Well, let me just first, of course, say thank you very much for building this, for doing what you do. As you said, I saw it from the get-go. You're a go-getter. You're making things happen. You're basically moving forward without excuses, and you're doing great work. So let me start by saying thank you and great job. My why, I'm sure it's probably very similar to yours, I believe, and probably many of you on the phone, on the webinar. Look, we've got an amazing concept called chiropractic. It's a remarkable idea. We know it's changed most of our lives. We've seen miracles in many cases of the people's lives that it's changed. And yet every single day, I don't know about you, but I know I continue to be frustrated at the fact that, you know, most of the world really just doesn't get it, so to speak. They don't really embrace and understand what it is that we really do. And I've spent the last 30 years trying to understand that, literally. And the only conclusion I can come to in this day and age, because for several decades, I'll even dare say the last 25 out of the last 30 years, there's been a very legitimate excuse as to why the world doesn't get us, why they don't understand us. And that's because we could never afford to make our way into traditional media, mainstream media, newspapers, television, cable TV, and so on. You know, the pharmaceutical industry dominates those mediums. However, a funny thing happened several years ago where I got very involved with social media, social networks. I learned about Facebook at a very early stage of when Facebook had less than 1 million users. I live here in basically Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and I've gotten exposed to what these tools really have the potential to do. And they have the potential to bring messages worldwide for free almost instantaneously. And so if you combine sort of my passion for wanting to share what I think of as the best kept secret in healthcare, your services, chiropractic as an idea, and the #1 social network that's truly and literally connecting the world, instantly bringing ideas worldwide, you know, I have now dedicated basically my life and my career to trying to inspire our profession, and I'll say allied professionals, those that are in alignment with our philosophy, to embrace today's technologies and really see ourselves as messengers to get our message out to the world. Look, Ed, I don't think most chiropractors are so much significantly smarter than the rest of the world that we're capable of understanding the chiropractic message, and they're just not capable of understanding. The only reason why most people don't understand is because they just haven't been exposed to our message. And that's just, as far as I'm concerned, in today's day and age, our responsibility. So there's two things I'll just leave that at. One, we have to do a more effective job inspiring people to want to learn about what we do. And that's different than we have to educate the public. I think we have to inspire the public to actually be more curious, not just lay out the facts. That's number one. And number two, we have to do a better job embracing today's technologies, communication technologies. Not that we need to become experts at all of these things, but we have to know enough about how to dial a telephone or how to use the internet and social networks and social media to be able to use these tools to communicate with lots of people for free every day, to inspire people to want to learn our message. And even more importantly, which I think is, kind of really the sleeper here, is how do we teach those people that already love you, that are already likely under your care, that have been in your care for years, that struggle to refer to you, even their friends and family, how do we give them the tools to be able to literally, with the click of a button, share you with their social networks, which basically in today's language is their friends, their family, their coworkers, their neighbors, they're your kids, friends, parents, and so on and so forth. So that's where we are today. And, basically my goal has been and is and continues to be, how do we inspire our profession to embrace these technologies, do a better job communicating our story, so at the end of it all, we can look back and see, not only did we make a nice income, not only do we build a nice business or practice, but how do we really make a significant contribution to our communities and collectively our world. I'm still idealistic and young enough to believe that we can make a difference and change the world. So that's why I do what I do.
Outstanding. I got to tell you, it reminds me of a conversation you and I had on our last phone call, which you said, we'll probably get on the phone a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, and we'll have the same conversation where you are trying or working to help chiropractors better understand social media and take advantage of that technology. And I'll be doing the same thing, trying to help them better understand podcasting. So what we're doing together, that's why I'm such a big supporter of what you do, and embracing the technology and saying that. Yeah. And we're dragging and pulling chiropractors into the digital age, aren't we?
Come on, let's go.
But here's the thing, I got to tell you, Jason, I built what I built with the following and what I created with Chiropractic Philanthropist, mostly through social media. So I know how powerful it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I spend hours creating content. I spend hours posting these things on the internet. Now, as a chiropractor, I have time I don't really have time, but I make time to do that. But as a chiropractor sitting in their office today, watching this webinar, we have to really simplify that for them. And that's what you've done, isn't it?
That's exactly the story. If you're listening or watching, this is proof that this stuff works. I know we didn't buy any traditional media ads. Everything we did to promote what we're doing is through the exact means we're suggesting that you use. So if you're here, that's proof that what we're doing actually works. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But you're 100% correct, which is, look, you and I are passionate about the technology, and I believe our role is to help empower chiropractors and their staff, their team, and spouses and family in some cases, to learn enough just about what to do. And creating content traditionally has been the most difficult part. I don't know any chiropractors that are graphic designers, copywriters, technical expert. It's just not part of our job description, nor should it be. So yes, that's exactly what I've built with AmpLIFEied, because of, my passion and desire to want to, help serve our profession. We've built what we know to be the world's best and largest chiropractic social media content library that, with our technology on the platform that we use with AmpLIFEied, makes it literally one-click simple to find the post that you like, click one button, and have that actually syndicate across your Facebook profile, your Facebook page, multiple Facebook pages, multiple Twitter accounts, your LinkedIn account, your most popular blogs, and so on and so forth. So we've eliminated literally every excuse for you not to get involved, for you as chiropractors not to get involved in sharing your message. The last mile, the biggest hurdle, is the emotional and mental hurdle or barrier that I hear over and over again, which has to do with, personal prejudice, I'll call it, right? I don't like Facebook. I don't like spending my time, you know, I don't care what somebody had for breakfast this morning. I'm going to hear it over and over and over again. And I'll just sort of leave it with, you know, my answer to that is too bad. And what I mean by that is, you know, if I was a television station, if I was NBC, Fox, CNN, whatever you like to watch, if I was a television station and I said to you, look, I want to give you free access to promote any video at whatever length, any commercial, any audio, any podcast, I will give you free access to promote on an unlimited basis to as many people as you can get to watch. I'll give you free access to our studio. You can have at it, go nuts. I don't think most chiropractors or most people would say, you know, I don't like watching television. I'm not going to take your deal. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not interested because I don't like to watch TV. And that's really the metaphor of today. I'm not asking you to like being on Facebook. I'm not asking you to even connect with your friends on Facebook. What I'm suggesting to you is that if you're passionate about wanting to get your message to more people, whether you want to do it altruistically because you want to save more people's lives, I don't care if you want to do it selfishly because you want to make more money and build your practice. It doesn't matter to me. All roads lead back to, if more people in your community knew about who you are, what you do, and the benefits that they would experience by connecting and working with you, then your practice would be as busy as you want it to be. And that's my goal. Whatever your motives are, I'm assuming they're ethical, they're honest, you're doing the right thing, you know, you're serving people for the right reasons. But wherever you are on the philosophical spectrum and whatever type or style of practice you run, that's up to you. My job, I think your job, Ed, as well, is to inspire you how to see yourself as a messenger first, so that you can share your message with as many people as possible in your community, how you can teach those that are already advocates of yours to advocate for you using these social networks. Because you know what the irony to all of this, Ed, is if you're a chiropractor or a staff member in your practice right now as you're watching this webinar, if there are other people in your practice as we're listening and as we're doing this, I will bet you that if there's more than one or two people, they're likely sitting somewhere, likely on your table, most likely on Facebook, on their mobile devices as we speak.
Yeah.
So yes, making it simple, making it easy, making it convenient, even being able to schedule up to a month's worth of posts in advance eliminates every excuse possible for us to be able to get our message out to the masses and for you to grow your practice as big as you'd like it to be.
And, you know, I think there's another solve here too, that, you know, I've come to realize over the last maybe just even 6 months with social media, and especially when it comes specifically to the chiropractor, like in their practice and building their practice or growing or expanding their practice is social status. I mean, it really does. I mean, we have that problem of obscurity. So, I mean, that's a great solve that you have, but also it's not enough just to be known anymore. It's more about elevating the status of the chiropractor so that when you do sit down with people, you know, they're basically nodding their heads yes to whatever recommendations you have. And I just want to circle back to one point before we go to a screen share as well. And that is that, you know, you touched on graphic design. I mean, I spend hours trying to get graphic design stuff so it looks good. And, you know, sometimes it's a hit and miss, but you've taken, again, all of the, like, you have an incredible aesthetic, and that's very important. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it's essential. I mean, there's a reason why Apple is the most valuable company in the world. Yes, it's partially their technology, but it has everything to do with the design detail. In fact, the emotional connection that people have, and design is a major part of all of that. So yes, I invest heavily in making sure that the aesthetic is the right aesthetic, that it's an attractive aesthetic. You know, it's funny. There's very few people in the world that don't know that they should be eating better, that they should be, you know, sleeping more, that they should be exercising. Education isn't the issue, because most people are educated on what they need to do in order to have a better quality of life, and they don't do it. So there's something more that I think of, and I'm not sure it's the perfect word, but inspiration, inspiring people to take those actions. And quite honestly, pictures, images, those are the things that emotionally engage us to want to learn more and want to get involved. So yes, I think aesthetics is a huge part of that.
And Jason, moving into 2016, if we were to say, in terms of social media and, if we had to put it in a hierarchy of importance, like where you should be and focusing your energy as a chiropractor, what would you say? Like, I mean, what order? Like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn?
Facebook, and Facebook. And then, yes, Twitter, LinkedIn, and some of the others. And I've seen some questions. And of course, if people have questions, fill them in the chat. People are asking questions like, what do I think of LinkedIn and so on?
Yeah.
I think part of this, Ed, has to do with, and maybe we should go there first to sort of open up the context of the conversation, which really has to do with, and this goes to your network question as well, which networks are important. I think we have to establish what social networks and what social media is and does. You mentioned obscurity, credibility. This is less to do with, and I know this is counterintuitive for most people listening, which is why I'm going to spend a moment to really try to address what it is. Let me make the metaphor. Most of the public today, if you were to say something about chiropractic, most people's reaction would be, thankfully, I don't need one. If I had neck or back pain, I would maybe consider going. I'd let you maybe crack my neck if I trust you. And if I feel better, I'd say thank you and I would leave. And that's the context that most people think of, chiropractic for. And I think it's for much more than that, but that's the general perception of the public. I say that because the general perception of social networking, social media, is that it's marketing. And when it's thought of as marketing, then the questions are, if I do this, what will I get? Let me try it for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Let me do A/B testing. Let me dip my toe in for a little bit, see what I get. And if I get enough back, I'll do more. And I don't think these mediums work that way.
No.
And if we think that way, we're going to have a self-fulfilling prophecy of it not working. And it's because this is not about what you can get. Will you get people from coming in? Well, if you have a good enough message, you have the right price, product, place, promotion, as they say, the basics of marketing, assuming that you're credible and that you're doing good work, then the premise is the more people that are aware of you, the more people that will come on in. However, where the opportunity comes into play with social networks, which is different than all of our traditional marketing, it used to be that you had to kind of sell somebody with a headline because you couldn't afford unlimited space, unlimited conversation, unlimited video, right? You couldn't afford those things. So it used to be that you had to come up with some sort of headline like, we'll fix your neck pain, back pain, headaches, or whatever symptoms. And then we would get them in and then convert them into some sort of other care, wellness care, maintenance care, whatever you want to refer to it as. And that had everything to do with the fact that traditionally, people had health insurance that covered their care, that we couldn't afford a lot of space to be able to really share the entire story, share our beliefs, share our philosophy, share our perspective. We couldn't afford to do that back then. So we had to come up with the smallest, easiest, most, headline that would inspire people to take action now. And typically that was symptoms. And then many of us in our practices would get frustrated that people are coming in, all they want is symptom relief, and they want to leave. Today's world is completely different for several reasons. One, you've got unlimited bandwidth. You, in fact, can share your story, share your philosophy. Two, people buy things differently today than they ever used to. If you're going on vacation, if you're going to buy new tires, if you're going to buy a new camera, new computer, if you're going to see a professional, if you're going to go to a show, a movie, whatever you're buying these days, most people, most of the time, are looking for recommendations from their friends who most of the time are connecting with each other on networks like Facebook. And now I know there's talk about Snapchat and other, different types of networks and so on. My belief and the answer to your question, in a long but hopefully explanatory way is most of your target audience as a chiropractor is hanging out on Facebook, connecting with each other, sharing their lives. I can't show up for a show because I don't feel well. They're sharing their misery. They're sharing their wins with their network, their friends. And when people have an issue, they actually post. For those of you that don't do these things yourself, people literally go to their social network and go, I'm not feeling well. I'm not sure what to do. What would you recommend? And they let their network help with responses. So, Facebook to me is the first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's easy, and I'm going to show everybody how it's simple, easy, it doesn't even take any more time to also post to Twitter, LinkedIn, and your blogs, why not do it? Because there are people that are there. And those other networks have somewhat different formats, but I just want to, when asking about LinkedIn and so on and so forth, the goal is to build awareness. Let me say it this way. It used to be that you wanted to be, when people search for a chiropractor in your town, you wanted to show up high. And my response in the new world is, and there was a phase where that was true and that worked. And I'm not saying it's no longer true. I'm saying we're into a new era. And that is that if you're in people's face already proactively on a regular basis, they don't have to search for anyone else.
Yeah.
So people are going to learn about you through their friends. They're going to get to know you by following your programs, doing podcasts, sharing your philosophy, sharing your beliefs, inspiring them to understand what you understand. And here's another important distinction I'll make before we go into screen share and so on. This is, again, somewhat counterproductive or counterintuitive, not counterproductive, counterintuitive to most people. You don't want everybody in your community to come into your practice. Most people go, what? What are you talking about? That's crazy. Of course I do. No, you don't. What you want, in my opinion, are those people that actually believe what you believe about healthcare, about wanting a drugless approach, about wanting to be proactive. You're never going to convince everybody in your community to think and believe that way. And unless you love pain yourself, you're better off attracting those people that actually have a similar philosophical perspective on health, life, and well-being that may not yet understand that chiropractic is congruent with those beliefs. But look, there's lots of people. There are yoga studios, Whole Foods, Pilates studios, drugless healthcare professionals. They are popping up and growing significantly in every community in the United States. They may not yet connect that you have that type of philosophy, but when they do, you're going to have plenty of people that already agree with what it is that you do, that you no longer have to convince and sell, convert, close. You won't have to do those things. You simply are attracting people that are already in alignment with philosophy and beliefs, that already have credibility because they see their friends and other people that they know in the community. If you'll embrace this new philosophy and technology, if you'll do podcasts like Ed's teaching you, if you'll use AmpLIFEied and simply teach somebody on your team to click a button on a regular basis to simply share our professionally designed graphics, videos, and so on, if you'll keep your face in front of your community, then you're going to attract the right people to your practice who already want what you offer. Your job at that point is to not screw it up.
And I call it like a birds of a feather philosophy, and that is that you do attract those people to your practice, that one person who can be the maven for the office, and then they hang out with everyone else who's just thinks just like them most of the time.
That's right.
And that's how you build a practice.
That's it.
So let's go to that screen share then. Okay.
I'm going to check out some of these questions just to make sure I'm doing my best to serve and answer. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready, Jason, just let me know you can see the screen okay,
yeah.
and then you answer
Absolutely.
those questions when you're ready too.
Yeah, so let's talk first. Okay, let's talk. There's several questions about HIPAA, so let's just address that real quick. And then I'm going to go into the 3 essential steps that you must be taking in 2016 to basically make 2016 your best year ever, as well as how to get the best results using these tools without wasting time, without wasting money, and being most effective and most efficient. So let me just first address, some of you have asked about HIPAA. The same HIPAA laws that apply in your practice, in your community, apply here. So things like diagnosing over the internet or having conversations with people about particular health concerns and issues, just like if you were in a public forum, aren't allowed, nor are they allowed here. So the same HIPAA laws apply. I think of it as common sense, to be honest with you, but know your laws and know what is or isn't appropriate. Your job is not to have deep conversations about people's personal health issues on this platform. This is not the right place to do that. But when people do ask you questions, like they would in public, like they would even if you were, meeting somebody for the first time, typically the right response is, that's a great question. Why don't you come into the office so we can learn more about your history, learn more what's going on, whether you want to have a consultation or a consultation and an examination. You can't answer most questions, as far as I'm concerned, accurately for somebody specific unless they've made it to your office and you've gone through some sort of interview and examination or evaluation process. So in this forum, the same thing applies. Thank you for your question. Great question. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you or invite you in for a consultation. Call this number, go to this website, whatever it may be, whatever your call to action is, for you to be able to, let them know whether you can serve them or not. So I hope that answers the HIPAA question. If not, ask again. Let's go into, again, the 3 essential steps. These are the must-dos. This is, I think, of the triune of social media, social networks, that if you're in any kind of business, but let's speak chiropractic for now. If you're in any kind of business and you want to grow your business using social networks, this is the triune. Number 1, if you'll see in front of you, you've got to put your best face forward. You walk into an Apple store, you are impressed at how immaculate it is, a Nordstrom's. And that is a different experience and attracts a different clientele than discount stores or places that don't necessarily think about their aesthetic. And if we want people to appreciate who we are and what we do, I think aesthetics matter. When I audit or evaluate most chiropractors' Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, and so on, unfortunately, most of them are, I dare say, embarrassing. What I mean by that is most of them don't have any cover image whatsoever. It's left blank. There's nothing there. It's this big gray box, which screams, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I don't care enough about you, my general audience, to invest much time into making this place look very good. And I'll address this real quickly by saying that part of the challenge with all of this is what I think of as the paradox, the chiropractor's paradox. And what that means is, and this is just the emotional stuff, because what to do is super easy, and I can teach it to you in 2 minutes or less. But unless there's a mind shift in your mind about why to do it, you won't do it, even if it takes you less than 2 minutes to do. And so the paradox here that is critical to, I think, shift is that most chiropractors are saying to themselves, well, let me see how this works. I don't have that many people on my Facebook page now, so why would I invest much time, sharing these things with only a few people? Like you maybe have 10 or 15 or 20 people, or whatever your number is. You're just starting off. Why would I invest time doing a podcast or sharing great content when there's hardly anybody connected? But of course, that's the paradox. Why would anybody be connected unless there was great value, great stuff that you're providing for them? So making sure that, like a website, you can go to any website. If it is poorly designed, if it's not maintained regularly, there's no question your immediate response to that's going to be, why would I work with this person? They're not even active. They don't even care much. This isn't really important to them. And it doesn't encourage people to want to continue a relationship with you. That's step 1. Step 2 is you have to post on a regular basis. This used to be the hardest part. When we get into, as we scroll down in just a moment, I'm going to show you how simple and easy it is to find and share the greatest chiropractic content in the world. And then step 3, and this is the only part that we're making easy for you, but that requires just a little bit of effort. And that's understanding that Facebook, in my opinion, as I'll share in more detail in just a moment, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, these are forums, they're stages, they're places for you to build community, to encourage people to connect with your regular messages. And so I'll share with you some scripting and some specific things you can be handing out to people that will encourage them to want to be a part of what it is that you're offering. We have gone through the phase of like me on Facebook. I got a Facebook page, like us. The question, of course, is if they like you, what are they liking? If they follow you, what are they following? If they're connecting with you, what are they connecting to? And so those are the things we have to answer together as a group. And if you'll do what we're teaching here in these 3 steps, you will find over time, you're going to build a community of like-minded people that are inspired by you and who have learned how to share you with their social networks on a regular basis. Ultimately, at the end of all of this, my goal is for you to know how to turn Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn into what I think of as automatic new patient referral machines. So Ed, any specific questions, or you want to just get right into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so let's scroll down and let's look at step one in a little bit more detail. You've got to put your best face forward on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And let me take a moment to say that if you go to this website, My Practice Amplified, I'm sure there'll be a link on the replay, but you can see it, type it into your browser right now. Everything I'm teaching you right now is free and available for you to download and access instantly. So there's, again, no more excuse. All you have to do is follow these steps. You'll enter your name and information. It's all free. There's no catch. There's no hook. So Ed, I'm looking at you instead of the screen. Do you want to head on back?
Sorry about that.
You're a good-looking guy. I don't mind that, but you know.
What I did is just, if everyone looks over at the very side, there's actually a button that says Master Social Media Now. There's a register now. You can actually click that. It won't take you away from the webinar, but I'd suggest you stay on the webinar, at least for the next few minutes. And that way you can register immediately. So I'm going to go back to that. Yeah, go back to that screen share.
Technology, you got to love it. Most of the time, when it works. All right, so let's go back to, walking into how when people come visit your Facebook page, Twitter account, LinkedIn account, people should have a sense of what to expect. As I said, most Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, and so on have no aesthetic to them. They, in many cases, have no Facebook cover image. Those that have a Facebook cover image tend to be a picture of your building, your business card, a picture you've seen somewhere that doesn't really fit the right size, so it's pixelated, they call it. It just doesn't look right. It doesn't look professional. And the most significant part about all of that is it doesn't really give your audience an expectation of what they should find there, what they should do there. So we created, and we're offering to you for free, as you'll see the images in front of you, a way in which to say, hey, welcome to our health and wellness community. There's several things that you can expect by being here as part of our community. Number one, you can ask us questions. Now, as I mentioned, for HIPAA and those that are even concerned, they can ask you questions. In many cases, the answer will be, come on in for evaluation if it's related to their health. However, they may ask you a whole variety of different questions, as I'll get into in a little bit later, because what I'm going to recommend that you do is that if you'll stop looking at this as a chiropractic sales tool, and you'll start looking at this as a local health and wellness community, then people are going to ask you a variety of different questions that have to do with more than, should I come in and will you fix me? They're going to look to you as a leader, as a community leader, as a resource. And that, to me, is the most valuable way that people can look upon you. And these cover images welcome people and set the expectation. They can ask you questions. They can check out your local wellness resources and reviews. People like to leave reviews. If they leave the review, then they're proactively doing it, whether they do it on Yelp, on Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is. They can connect with other people. That's the point. Social networks are communities, and you're building a community within the community that's local to your region, to your area, and that is focused on health, wellness, and well-being. Now, if you have a particular niche, a particular focus, if you're about sports, pediatrics, geriatrics, if you have a particular technique or particular type of condition that you focus on helping people with, then build your community around that. I'm not saying it has to be a health and wellness community. I'm using those as suggestions. If you want to create another micro niche or a community around your specific topic, that's what you should be doing. These are just some examples. The last part on this cover image is it sets the expectation for people to receive what I think of as a daily dose of inspiration. And that, to me, is what is sort of referred to as permission marketing. It's a way of saying, look, Ed, if I said to you, Ed, would it be okay if I sent you something every single day that's going to try to sell you to want to buy what I'm selling you? Would you be psyched to go there and go, yeah, definitely. Sell me all day long. I've got nothing better to do with my time than wait for you to sell me something every single day. But that's the way it comes across, and many times when we think of these as marketing tools. However, the switch is, and we'll go into more detail about the scripting in this in step 3, the switch is to be inviting to share your mission about how you want to help serve and enlighten people, give them access to the resources, to the best wellness resources in your community. And so I'll save more of this for step 3 as we get there, but the first step is you never have a second chance to make a great first impression. Welcome people, give them an immediate understanding of what they can find on what I'll call your wellness community, your resource center. And these images are ways in which you can do this. Again, at the end, if you choose to register, you can download these images from a library we have. If you want to share them with a local designer, modify them so that you've got your, your specific language. If there's anything you want to change or edit, you have at it and go for it. But these are our ways of saying, make your social networks look impressive. Put your best face forward on Facebook. Ed, any questions on that, or should we just kind of move right along to step 2?
Just a comment. I mean, just something like that. I mean, I've probably spent hours just trying to fit that onto, so that the text works out. That's brilliant that it saves so much time right there for docs.
And there's a whole bunch of different, thank you for that. There's a whole bunch of different themes. I mean, some have a lifestyle theme, some have an athletics theme, some are science, some are, beautiful images of the nerve system, anatomy, physiology. It's cool stuff. So go check it out. We're not saying everybody should have the same thing. We're saying there should be some similar themes and commonalities. That's what you'll see there. So let's move on to step 2, okay? If your Facebook page doesn't look very good, you're going to decrease your impact. You're going to decrease your effectiveness. So let's make it look great. Now, if you make it look great and there's nothing there, then that's a problem too. Now, again, here's the switch, right? It's counterintuitive. I know this. When left to, and this is why we really focused on building and investing literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in AmpLIFEied, was because most chiropractors, most businesses in general, I'm not trying to pick on chiropractors, I'm just saying this is as an example. Most businesses think that the message is to tell as many people as possible or to educate as many people as possible about what you offer. That's what we think the job is. Like if we just educate more people, they'll want what we have. And although there is truth to it, I'm not saying that's not true. I am saying it's incomplete and often not true. Because there's plenty of people, including chiropractors themselves, that are educated about chiropractic, but don't embrace the lifestyle the way you do. And they're educated about chiropractic. So to expect, the lay public and a lot of other people to do that, I don't think is necessarily the key to success. It's about inspiring people to what's possible as a result of using your service. I've heard it once said that nobody ever wants to buy a drill. However, there's a lot of people that need a hole. And if you want a hole, you've got to buy the drill. You're not buying the drill, just like you're not buying chiropractic. You're buying what the tool can do for you. And that's live a high quality of life, live your potential, high performance, heal from a particular concern without the use of drugs and surgery, wherever you fall on that spectrum. It's the result, it's the outcome. Look, if you look at the pharmaceutical industry as an example, they're not going through all of the science in these advertisements. That's not what gets people to buy. In fact, most of them have junk science behind it. What they're sharing is the beautiful lifestyle, a man and a woman in a tub looking over a sunset. They're gorgeous images. That's what sells. If you have unlimited resources and you actually want to sell poison, that's how you do it. And I'm suggesting we may want to use some of these similar tactics and strategies to be able to inspire people to want the lifestyle they can achieve by working with us. And it's a slightly different way than just educating people about what we do. What's a subluxation? What's an adjustment? And so on. I'm not saying you don't do that. I'm saying that doesn't inspire people to buy or take action immediately. Emotions and lifestyle does. So with that said, and the reason I'm saying all of that is because most chiropractors left to their own devices just simply want to promote things about chiropractic. So most, and the things that you think might be important. So you might see, here's a new research article that says chiropractic is good for headaches. Here's a new research article that says that chiropractic is good for kids. Here's a research article that says that chiropractic is good for this. Chiropractic is good for that. Chiropractic is good for the other thing. And you're going to lose people because I know what you're going to try to tell me tomorrow, that chiropractic is good for something else. And that's all about you selling what you're selling. That's a very different philosophy than inspiring people to want to live their best life and to be curious about how you and your practice can help them achieve their best life. Does that make, Adam, am I making that clear to some degree, hopefully?
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. I'll tell you that. I mean, yeah, I can actually visualize, like, you're painting the picture for me. I love it.
Cool, cool. So in order to do that, in order to inspire people to want the lifestyle that you're referring to, then we've built this library, Find and Share Great Content, at least once per day. And there's a spectrum of those of you who are watching this right now. There are those that just want to do the absolute very least. That, in fact, you don't even want to do it. You want to delegate it to a staff member and do it. And that's okay. If you want to delegate to somebody on your team to connect, create an AmpLIFEied account, connect your practice's Facebook page, Twitter accounts, LinkedIn accounts, and just instruct them to at least once per day, click the button, or to schedule a week or a month of time, you will be safe finding great stuff in our library for them to be able to do that. Now, if you want to do a better job, then in addition to doing that, you'll also start sharing some activity that goes on in your practice. You may take pictures of people in your practice. You may share, a speaking engagement or volunteering somewhere, things that make you human and things that make you attractive, which is being generous and contributing to your community, being of service to others makes you attractive. Connecting with celebrities or other people, obviously follow all HIPAA laws and so on, please. But those are things you can be doing to personalize your message to your practice. If you do events in your practice, this is a great way to let people know, invite people, and give people a way to invite their friends to come and see you. And again, doing podcasts and doing brief videos gives people what I think of as an appetizer portion for them to be curious enough to go, this is delicious, where do I get more? And the answer, of course, is in your office. So if you want to do the very minimum, then have somebody on your staff sign up at the bottom. As you'll see, everything's free, but they can go through. If you think of it, I describe AmpLIFEied these days as Pinterest meets Hootsuite for natural healthcare providers. Pinterest is a beautiful library of great stuff. Hootsuite is this technology that allows you to schedule posts to multiple networks at one time. And all of our content, as you can see by the topics here, are really for natural healthcare providers. Of course, my love being chiropractors and inspiring chiropractors to share our message worldwide. But we get a lot of incredible feedback from fitness professionals, nutrition professionals, people who just like to inspire others to live their best life. We've got content for all of those, because what I believe you're actually offering people is a lifestyle. It's a inspired way of living. And so just selling chiropractic all day long to me is not very effective to attract the type of lifestyle practice most chiropractors I know are looking to build. So step 2, find and share at least once per day great content. And this library is where you find the world's best content. Many of you have probably already seen it. You may share it from other people's Facebook pages and so on, which is always, I see people sharing from others. Create your own account. It's all free, and you'll receive a daily email that's going to literally deliver to you the most popular posts possible for you to be able to share. You cannot screw it up. It's easy, it's free, and there's no better way to find great content that's easier to distribute or syndicate across multiple networks than what I'm sharing with you right now. Questions, feedback, thoughts, additions, Ed?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you kind of hit on is maybe docs don't know what Hootsuite is, but yeah, for me personally as a entrepreneur or chiropreneur and going into Hootsuite and then actually creating the content for that, I love the idea that you can delegate this to your team. Yeah. That's brilliant. Again, you also hit on something too, and I'll just mention and circle back, is the consistency and making sure that, put it on your checklist for your team to do every day, or maybe one time a week, that team member to schedule those posts to go out.
Yeah. And that's exactly, we're teaching people, spend 10 minutes a week to schedule an entire week's worth of posts, and basically you're done. And if you want to monitor and you want to add more, that's great. But this is how you do sort of the basics, the foundational stuff. Yeah, simple and easy. But it's funny, you mentioned, you're an expert in this stuff, Ed, and you're like, I love it. It's amazing. And it's because you know how expensive and how time consuming it is to do what it is that we're offering people. Yeah. So thank you for your feedback. The more you know, the more you appreciate it.
I mean, I would suggest that doctors think about this as actually, even though it's a free platform, that they're actually buying back time by doing this. They're actually, because it's, yeah,
You're
I
making
mean,
money.
it's all done for you.
So let's move on to step three, which is really an important, they're all important parts. So I guess it's foolish to say that. Look, if you make your Facebook page look great, and I mean Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, if you make your social networks look great, if you're posting every single day, at least once a day, and in some cases more, but if there's nobody connected to your channels, then let's agree, you're wasting your time. Okay. So the last part of all of this is, how do you invite as many people as possible to be part of this community? Now, you can't put the cart before the horse, as they say. So you can't build a community without making your page look great and sharing great stuff. So this is the last mile. It's the last part of all of this. If you're doing step one and step two, then step three becomes, how do you invite people? How do you inspire people to want to be part of your community? And so one is, here's a free card that you can download. You can actually put your Facebook your Facebook username into this card. You can print it out. You can get them professionally printed if you'd like to. But handing people something allows them the ability to have your URL with instructions. And Ed, if you want to sort of circle on the post right over there, it gives instructions on how to click the like button, how to click the drop-down menu that says get notifications.
Right there.
Yep. And it encourages people to do what you want them to do, which is to like, comment, and share. So moving down to this, script, putting these things together, you hand people the card, you have signs in your practice, you and your staff say your version of this. You may say something like, my name's Dr. Jason Deitch, and I learned a few things over the years. I became a chiropractor because when I learned about what it is that chiropractic is, when I learned about the philosophy of being able to live your best life, of being able to express your innate potential, your human potential, your greatest performance. When I learned about the concepts of being proactive versus reactive, when I learned about how much ability I have to heal myself, I was amazed. It changed my life. And if you have a miracle health story, you may want to share that there. And so when I learned that, I decided that this is how I want to serve my community. This is how I want to change the world. This is what I want to do with my life. And so my mission is to try to inspire as many people here locally in town, here in Marin County where I am. My mission is to help inspire as many people in Marin County to live their best life and to have access to the resources they need to be able to live their highest quality of life. Natural healthcare resources, wellness facilities, other healthcare professionals. And so I built a community of like-minded people that live locally that want to have natural healthcare and perform at their best. And so we've created this place that I'm inviting you here. I saw you on Facebook a few moments ago while you were waiting for me to come in here and check you out. So why don't you pull out your phone right here, right now. And if you'll go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ put in your username, then click the like button. You'll see a drop-down menu that's going to say get notifications. And if you would like to receive our daily dose of inspiration, our way of staying connected with you and trying to inspire you each and every day to live your best life, if you'll let us do that, and if you'd like help from us more than just a few minutes per week you're in the office, then please connect with us on our community. That's how to do it. And the one thing that I'll ask you is that there will be days that you see some of our inspirational posts that you go, that was awesome. I like that. And I'm asking if you'll help us spread the word here in our community. If you see an image, if you see a post that we share and you like it, please take the second that it takes to please click the like button. There will be some days that you see a post and it makes you think of something. And if it does, then take a moment, please. I'm inviting you to be part of our community and leave some sort of comment. And there'll be some days where you'll see an inspirational post and you're going to think of friends or family members or everybody. You're going to go, this is hysterical or this is interesting. Please share these posts with as many people as you possibly can. That's my mission, is to try to serve and help as many people here in town as possible. And if you're willing to help, if this has been helpful to you, or if you see it the way I see it, and you want to help build our community of like-minded people who want to live their best life and make the world a better place, then please, there's a principle in life that says the more you engage, the better results you're going to get. And so the more you'll engage in our community, the more you'll engage in your care plan here, following your care plan recommendations, attending our upcoming workshops and so on, connecting with us as part of our community, clicking like, leaving comments, and sharing our posts with people that you know, the better results you're going to get, and the more together we're going to work to be able to make the world a better place. So pull out your phone, or here's the card, whatever your call to action is that's appropriate. But I invite you to stay connected with us. Do you have any questions? So that to me is sort of, again, I'm elaborating it. You could say that in less than a minute. You could extend it at the end of a health talk. If you were to be proactive and you were to actually do podcasts, or if you were to review products, other advanced, things that you should be doing as far as I'm concerned, then you can say, look, every week I do a podcast on a different health topic. We invite you to ask questions or make suggestions of future health topics, and we'll be doing podcasts on those in the future. But that's another reason why to be part of our wellness community, again, whatever community you're trying to build, is because each week or each month or twice a month, whatever your routine and schedule is that you're willing to commit to, we'll share with you more value on how you can be living your best life, or how you can be achieving certain goals, whatever your niche, specialty, and profession that you want to focus on is. And so by having signs in your office, handing these cards out, using an emotionally authentic explanation for what you hope people to gain and benefit, is going to do far more, be far more effective than having signs all over the place that say, like us on Facebook. And then one day see me and go, well, I tried that Facebook thing, it doesn't really work. Look, these are tools. Tools work as well as you know how to use them. There are people that have this exact tool, an iPhone, that make billions of dollars a year by using this tool. And there are others that are wasting their money each and every month. And it's not whether the phone works or not, it's whether you know how to work the tool or not. These are the 3 essential steps: making your networks look great, sharing valuable, inspiring, well-designed messages, content, posts every single day, at least once a day, and then building an emotionally engaging community of like-minded people, including your staff, including your friends, your family, who have the same or similar philosophies as you do, and giving them access to a tool that they can share you with their social networks. That's how you go viral. That's how your message spreads throughout your community in today's day and age.
Beautiful. And I got to tell you, Jason, this looks amazing too, and it's super easy. I mean, I've signed up on my end, and so docs, if you look over to the right-hand side, and I'm going to shrink this screen down just so I can make sure I got that button there for you. And all right, Jason, am I back?
You are back.
All right. So everyone, right over here where my thumb is pointing, there's a button. It says register now. You head over there. It says AmpLIFEied, easy, fast, free. You're crazy if you're not doing this. I got to tell you, I mean, I can speak from experience, even just sitting down at screenings, my default. So if someone didn't sign up, or we qualified that they just weren't ready to come into our office for a checkup, even at screenings, I would hand out, like what you're saying, like that card, that postcard for social media, and they would join Facebook, and they would actually, they would follow us, and then until they're ready to come in. Now, I only have you for a couple more minutes then, Jason, because I know you have a hard stop in just a few. How are we for, say, another 2-3 minutes? What do you think?
We're great. We're great.
Okay, I'm gonna fire a couple of questions here at you real quick. One of the questions was, how to build and nurture effectively a Facebook community. I mean, other than what we've spoke about, I mean, is there anything key that you would suggest for someone who wants to really build their community quickly?
Yes. If you think of throwing a party, okay, and you want to get as many people to your party as you possibly can, right? Not an intimate, exclusive party, but a blowout party. That's what your practice should be, a blowout party. Everybody's welcome. Bring your friends, bring your family, let's go nuts. So if you were to think about throwing a party, what would you do? Well, you would, number one, prepare and invest in likely having great decorations, making the place feel festive and wonderful. You would be prideful, most likely, in the food you're preparing, whether you're catering it or you're making it yourself, perhaps cocktails you may be offering should you go there, the music. You would be prideful to say, this is going to be a phenomenal time. You would most likely not say, well, let me see how many people show up before I decide how much food I should get and whether or not I should hire a DJ and whether I should decorate the place or not. Why don't we see who shows up first? Because then we'll figure out whether we should invest or not. Do you see how we've got it backwards? So this is not about how do you get. It's about how much can you give. And that's just the way I believe it. The more, if your message is chiropractic, you can't go wrong, okay? So the more passion, compassion, and the more, I'm gonna say value. This is different than teaching people that, you know, misalignment of the spine puts pressure on the nerve system. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that's not the first thing that's gonna get people to go, you're kidding. How soon can I come in? Okay? That's an important piece of the process, but that's not how you get started. So having authentic enthusiasm for wanting to serve your community and sharing, again, through podcasts, through videos, through daily posts, giving people the ability to scroll through your Facebook page. And I would encourage all of you to go to your practice's Facebook pages after you've registered for what I've shared with you. But go to your practice's Facebook pages and look at it through a new person's point of view. What does it say to you? Are you impressed? Are you inspired? Does it say, here's somebody that really wants to serve their community, that's on the cutting edge, that has a great aesthetic and really wants to be of service to me? Or does it say, here's another one of those guys that's just trying to, you know, sell us all their wares and just, you know, seems a little bit desperate to try to convince us that we should be doing this thing forever, just like all the others. And that's where this prejudice comes from. It's not necessarily unfounded. We unfortunately sometimes come across as a profession desperate, not very attractive. We need them more than they need us is the way in many cases we're coming across. And there's no way that's going to be effective in the long run. Now, that used to work for a period of time when people had symptoms and had health insurance that would cover getting rid of their symptoms for a period of time. And hopefully you made some sort of connection or relationship that inspired them to want to stick around. In most cases, they stuck around because they were afraid that the problem would come back, not necessarily because they got the idea that staying with you is going to help them perform their very best for the rest of their life. So think about what kind of practice you have, what kind of community, what kind of party you want to throw, and throw the party. This is the place where, and think about parties. People don't even usually buy invitations anymore. It's all digital. It's all community building. Hey, Super Bowl party, my house, you know, show up, share with your friends. That's how social networks work. And one of the biggest detriments, I think, Ed, to our profession, and I think one of the things that holds our profession back is, in fact, the fact that most chiropractors, many chiropractors don't use these tools themselves. So there's this cultural gap to go, I don't understand. You mean people connect with each other on these things? Like, what does that even mean? So ask your staff, ask your kids, ask your wife. You know, there are millions, billions, over a billion people that are connecting with each other about what they do every single day, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my, again, message to you is when you build an attractive community, and you share value, when you, from your heart, invest in, you know, doing a podcast. What does it cost you? You learn from an expert. You have headphones, you record, you share your love and passion for wanting to be of service to people, helping people in particular categories, you know, being an expert in pediatrics or whatever your special sports, whatever it is. When you share your message and you make it literally easy for them to consume on their headphones, on their phones, wherever they are 24/7, it's impossible that it doesn't come back to you.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I got to say, so I'm going to wrap this up for docs in 4 points that I've taken. I got so many notes from this today. So be everywhere. Be everywhere. I mean, I saw a study once that said that people have to see you 6 to 10 times before they actually become customers. So be everywhere. Social media. I mean, you also talk about Facebook. It's our perfect demographic as chiropractors. You know, I think we're looking at the 24 to the 45, maybe even 40 year of age, providing value. I mean, that's again, the other point, and you're constantly providing value for people. They see that value and they want to reciprocate. So they become become customers or clients, right? They think of you when they think of chiropractic.
Right.
And then the last thing I'm going to touch on for doctors before I let you go is I would like to call it like an indirect path to profit. You know, a lot of chiropractors like to think that, you know, we want to measure ROI on everything, but there's some things you can't do that. And this is one of them, that you have to be in it for the long game. Jason, see, look at all the great notes I got from this. What a great training. Awesome
Ed, you're
stuff.
an inspiration. What you're doing. I mean, again, I'm attracted to what you're up to because I see what you're doing. You know, it's not that I've known you for decades. It's not that, you know, we go way back in our childhood friends. It's I know you. I've never met you in person, but I feel connected to you. And this is exactly the point. I feel connected with you. I would do anything for you because I see your heart, your passion, your authenticity every day when I check Facebook, like millions of other people. So bravo to you for doing it, for making it happen. And if you're listening, watching, you know, any of this, again, I just want to reiterate, it's proof it works. Otherwise you wouldn't be here.
You got it. And one last time, I'm going to say, head over to the button on the side if you're still lingering on here, Doc. If you have any questions, there's a question box. You can fire them off, and I have an email attached to the webinar. But that's the end of the webinar for today, and I'm going to let Jason go. And I know he's a busy guy, and I want to thank you again for coming and actually sharing with TCP listeners and followers today, Jason. Just incredible value.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks, everyone, for being here.